Welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Kristin Hildabrand, Warren County Extension Agent for Horticulture. Kristin, one of my favorite flowers is the peony.
Yes.
And from you, I've learned so much more about peonies. And today you're going to share a little bit about all the different types, because now is actually the time to be thinking about that.
That's exactly right. And, you know, I feel like a lot of times we get in a rush in the spring and we see all these things that we want to plant. But peonies, they're a spectacular bloom. They're very eye-catching. You know, here in Kentucky, we have it generally about May, so around Kentucky Derby time. And then, you know, generally they can end about, you know, right at the beginning of June or end of May. But it's a very beautiful bloom. I think a lot of people get really excited whenever they do have it in the spring, and fall is actually a good time to plant peonies. So we're just kind of helping you all, that anybody that, you know, might have questions about planting peonies, what are some things to consider. And the first one actually is varieties of peonies. There's a lot of different peonies that are available. You know, we talk about marketing a lot, you know, when you start looking through catalogs and things like that. But a lot of things characteristic wise that you can look at is the bloom size. There's also when it blooms, like there's early to mid to even later season varieties of peonies. There's also plant size, depending on which one that you have. Also, if you're interested in like actually growing peonies and selling them as a cut flower here in Kentucky, stem strength is very important. So if that's something that you want to make marketable, definitely look at stem strength. And also the color, what captures our attention most usually. And there's a lot of different colors out there. There's pinks, there's reds. Of course, traditionally we think of whites, I feel like, and sometimes a little bit of a blushy color, but there's also yellow, there's coral. There's a lot of different colors that are available. And whenever you start to look at those blooms, they can actually be broken down into different sizes, like the double. So they're full, they've got tons of petals to them. And then you can have single types, which they only have like a row of petals, and then they have an open center. So they're still attractive. They're a little bit different looking from the full-on doubles. And then you've also got semi-double, which is basically just in between the double and the single. So a lot of times in the middle, they'll have a few rows of petals, and it'll also have an open center. So those are some things that you can look at as far as varieties go. Now peonies are also broken down into 3 different categories. So herbaceous, that's the one that our probably grandparents had, our moms had, because they probably got those blooms from their grandparents. Those are the most common type. A lot of times those can actually make the most beautiful cut flowers too, if you're actually wanting to sell it. And then you've also got tree peonies. They're a little bit slower growing, and they do take a little bit more time to actually get up to a mature size when you talk about blooms, but they have good options. And then we have an intersectional peony, which is basically a cross between the herbaceous and the tree. So you get the good roots from the herbaceous, so it's really cold hardy, and then you get some of the real spectacular blooms from the tree. So those are things to kind of watch for. So, you know, if you want a specific variety type, especially when you start looking at all these different varieties and catalogs, you want to make sure that you purchase from a reputable nursery or garden center that, you know, you trust and have been to. But it's really important to shop early to guarantee that you do get those blooms, because some of those will be higher priced whenever you start looking at the tubers, the cost of them, versus some of the ones that have probably been around for a while. So if you're looking through that, definitely go ahead and purchase as early as you can to make sure that you get those that you do want, so that way that you can enjoy for even several years.
And some of those varieties, Kristin, are probably harder to get. So you probably need to go through a catalog, and some of our local nurseries carry. I mean, I received a tree peony from Mammoth Cave Transplants. We do have those around here, but a lot of times we're just not thinking about looking for those in the fall.
No, and fall is a really good time. This is a perennial type plant. It's going to have a flower to it. So right now is a good time just to really look for those cultivars and guarantee that before you get ready to plant. We actually have a podcast episode with Dennis Morgeson. It's on planting peonies. So if you want to check that podcast episode out, it's got all the information that you would want to know about planting peonies right here in the Kentucky Gardening.
All right, so Sunshine Gardening Podcast,
Yes.
Look for peonies.
Yes, that's right.
And we appreciate you watching the Farm and Home Show. Have a great day.